right, this is Tomas Martinez. This is TM3 Impact. I am with a dear friend, Veronica. I'm so pumped to have you here at the TM3 studios.
Thank you for the opportunity, Tomas. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yes, Veronica and her company, North American Title Company, they are one of our sponsors, our platinum sponsors.
Yes, sir.
And we really, really appreciate that for Alamo Referral Mastery. For those of you listening to this, we will have this up. If you haven't gotten your tickets, you need to get them
You need
ASAP.
to get them.
Stop playing around. Today, here's the deal. We're going to talk about our mastermind group with John Maxwell.
I'm excited about
And
that. You know how I feel about this.
I do. And that's why I wanted you to come. I wanted to talk about it. I went to John Maxwell in 2014, and it was life-changing. It has been one of the biggest influences on my life, and it's still influencing me. I mean, to this day, my journal is still being influenced by that day, being there for those 3 days. So here's the first question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Tell me your journey of number one, us getting to meet, and then becoming part of the first mastermind that we did.
Okay. So first of all, I'll tell you, congratulations, Tomas, on where you're at. This podcast, I'm excited to be a part of it. I can see the change in your life. I know that when you attended John Maxwell, that was an immediate change in your life. And the thing that I love about it is that you weren't stingy about it. You have definitely shared that wealth of knowledge that you've gained, and you continue to do that. So thank you, and please don't stop, and I won't let you either.
That's true.
Which comes to where we talk, your question about John Maxwell and the leadership class, the mastermind group. When you came to me with this idea and we talked about it, I was immediately drawn to it and said, yes, we have to do that. There's a number of reasons. The biggest thing for me is that it brings people together. There's an intimacy in that. We open up and we become a family.
Yeah.
And so it's a safe haven in a sense for us to, there's so many things out there going on in the world. It's moving so fast, high expectations. But when you can come and sit for an hour and a half with like-minded people that have the same desires, goals, and dreams as you, it's so encouraging and motivating. The other aspect of it is it brings accountability. So not only are you coming in here and you're all talk, there's action behind it. You have to put action, because when you're sowing this wealth of knowledge into your mind and it goes into your body, your spirit, you receive that, and you have to do something about it. You can't just sit on it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was getting my brain and my mind to open up, to see life in a whole different way.
Yeah.
And what I'll share on a personal level is I came in not knowing what to expect, but I will share at that point I had a fixed mindset. It was a fixed mindset that I had because of upbringing or past life experiences, where I was at a point where I thought, no, I could never be that, or I could never achieve that, or I could never, And so making those excuses and having that fixed mindset has been definitely a life-changing experience for me. And I got to get that with this class, and open up and meet amazing individuals that come in here, and we just share our hearts, and it's great to see not only yourself grow, but it's also great to see the other individuals in the class grow as well. Then you hear their testimonies, you hear, how they went outside their comfort zone and things are changing within themselves and their families. So it's been a great experience. How many years has it been for us, Tomas, on this? Maybe 3, 4?
So 2014, I came back, and then it was that following summer. So it was 2015 is when we did the very first one. And I think it started out with Real Success, right? Did it start out with Real Success or the 15 Laws?
I believe we went right
into
the
15 laws?
Yes,
okay. Yeah. And then after each Live to Lead, it kind of led right into doing the 15 laws or the other classes that we did, or the Dream Book.
Put your dreams to the test. Yes.
That was a great mastermind. That was intense.
That's
that
a
was
hard
intense.
book to finish.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a whole another podcast.
Yes. So describe this setting. So when I say the word mastermind, I found that I get the look like, what are you talking about? A mastermind? I get the what is that? So from your perspective, describe kind of like the setting. How does the hour go? Like, from your point of view, how is it facilitated? The class itself.
So it's in a small setting, and we've done it in the smaller settings. We've done it in the larger settings where we had either 10 people or up to 50 people attending. Personally, I enjoy the more intimate setting of 10 to 15 people. Or did I say 15 or 50?
We did one with 50.
Yes.
We did do a big one.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, not that. I'm talking about the smaller, the 10 to 15.
Right.
And the reason I say that is because it's a more intimate level of, and so you come in with your materials, you're on fire, Tomas, and that fire spreads throughout the room.
Yeah.
I will say there's a lot of intimidation originally, but there is.
Okay.
There is. I can see that.
Intimidating in what way?
That you have to really dive in and see yourself and then share that. Be willing to be transparent.
Yeah.
When you come into something like this, it's not just reading a book and check it off your list that I read a book.
Right.
This is very in depth. It's a soul seeker also in a sense. For me, it was definitely a soul seeker for me. And the fact that when you start speaking out, there's other people that start speaking out as well. They feel comfortable, they open up. And then the thing about this is it's been consistent.
Yeah.
So with that consistency, it brings trust and vulnerability.
Yeah.
And then with that brings change.
Yeah. That's so the vulnerability piece, right? So in a mastermind, this is the book that we've done several times, the 15 Laws of Growth, which for me, this is a book that I think you almost have to come to it every year. You almost have to come back to this book and just really let it soak in because it's so good. I mean, it's such a good book. But the vulnerability piece, we've had things shared in our group that life-changing experiences, right? Like heart-wrenching experiences. We've had job situations, but the vulnerability piece of a mastermind of this group is really important. Why?
Because you release it. You don't have to just live with it or think, but you're the only one that went through something hard. You realize that there's others that have gone through something even harder than you, and you thought your situation may have been very, very hard, in a sense of, how do I get through this?
Yeah.
How do I take these emotions and how do I channel them? And sometimes it comes out in different ways within either at home or your family or at work. And so when you're vulnerable with each other in this intimate setting, it lets you free that. You speak it and then you free it. Yeah. And you let it go, and then that's where the fixed mindset goes away.
Yeah.
Because there's a level of a mindset when you're, when you're intimate that way. And that level of intimacy with this class. What I was going to share is that I remember coming into this class with uncertainty, right? A little bit of doubt, not certain. And then as we continue to go with the consistency, it opened me up to say, I'm going to give it my all. If I'm going to sow the time, if you're sowing your time into, this type of class, I'm going to give it my all. Yeah. So that's the vulnerability level too, is that you have to give it your all. You can't come in here and hold back. You have to be willing to be ready to open up. Yeah. And with that vulnerability comes the opportunity to grow, right? Most definitely. I think it opens the door for new areas of your, who you are to be explored and things to come up that maybe you really don't talk about, want to talk about. Or you didn't even know that you had in you.
Yes.
You think to yourself, I'm sure we'll go into the different laws, and, the first three for me were completely, that's what, it broke my mindset.
Yeah. Mindset. All right. So let's hit that. All right. So the first three, open it up there. The first three laws. Law number 1 is the law of intentionality. Yes. Right. And number 2 was a law of awareness. And then the law of the mirror. That one broke me. Okay, tell me. The law of the mirror. So I'll tell you, just by starting with being intentional, understanding what that is on a daily basis. Yeah. Being intentional, and then being aware of that intentionality and being aware of what your purpose is or what your goals are, what your dreams are. That brings awareness to it, right? Right. But then when you have all that, and then the law of the mirror, for me, all the laws are amazing, but this one just really, I'll never forget the experience. Yeah. We walked into the class and you had a mirror in the room, like literally a mirror. And I thought, what is Tomas up to? There was even, and so I said, okay, I'm open. Like I'm ready to, to just dive all the way in and give it all I have.
And so I recall that you had us write out a statement or several phrases or statements about ourselves, of what we believe and how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
So we sit in front of this mirror and we're looking at ourselves, telling ourselves this, it literally brought me to tears because I said, I have to look at myself, but I got to believe that.
Yeah.
And so that, for me, that's been one of the best experiences thus far in this class. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
But the law of the mirror, really.
That's
awesome. It was a heart checker.
Now, how many times have you done this class? I think it's been twice, right?
I've done the laws twice.
Yeah, the laws twice.
But I've been in every class that you've had.
Yeah, you've done this book twice. So
This
is what, this will be the common question is like, okay, you're going to do the book again, right? Like, I mean, really? The 15 laws again? And talk about what was the difference between the first time you did the class and then the second time you did the class?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, I'll share the first time is completely new, right? So you go into it unaware of what to expect. The second class, you go into it, you already know, but only because you already know, you go into it with a deeper level and a deeper understanding.
Yeah.
So it is, there again, I'm going to refer back to our mindset. You can't come and say, I already took this class once, I read this book, throw it off. I got my notes, both my notes from it, and I continue to reference back. Now you say you feel like you should almost hit this once a year. I think it's almost like once a month. Dive into one of the laws and just go back in and just go. But the difference on the second class is, yes, being aware, but that awareness brings a deeper level of understanding on the second class. And you're definitely going to get, because at the time of your first class compared to the time of my second class, I was in a different season in my life.
That's right.
So you receive it in a different way. You hear it in a different way, and you relate it to where you are at that time. Yeah.
That's a great point, because I think everybody has that book that has changed them. Right. There's always books that come around that really change who you are.
Right.
And then when you go back and read the book, you're like, whoa, like this is hitting me in a completely different way, because we're not the same person. Right. Like who you are is different. And that could happen in a span of 6 months. That could happen in a span of a year. It's going to happen in a span of a year for sure. But the idea is that, even when you fully devoured a book, doesn't mean that 6 months later, a year later, that you can't go back in and find completely new insight. And every time that I've done this class, that's what I found out.
Exactly.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
I
like to say it's a whole new revelation.
It's right.
A whole new revelation every time.
I love it. All right, so I'm gonna list out a couple of other chapters, and then we're gonna kind of come to a close here, because we're doing this podcast. Number one, this is TM3 Impact. I want to thank you for listening. Here's the deal. We're going to be having a mastermind coming up, and we'd love for you to join us. This is going to be an intimate group on the 15 laws of growth, and I know that this is going to impact your life. And Veronica is here. Thank you for being here and doing this podcast and sharing. Look at this next one, the law of reflection, the law of consistency, and the law of environment. And if I remember correctly, in the law of environment, is that the one where they talked about the story of the lady that ended up going to college and getting her master's degree? Wasn't that
at the age that she was when?
I mean, that was an unbelievable story. Unbelievable story. Now there's a total of 15 laws. The law that I think that really hits people. I believe is the law of the rubber band.
I was about to say
right?
That. Yes, the law of the rubber band.
Tell me what you remember from that, the law of the rubber band.
Okay, not only were there literal rubber bands in the session,
right,
which was great, but when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be, the elasticity, when you continue to stretch, you stretch as much as you can. And that's definitely of importance, because it takes you to another level in your thinking.
Yes.
When you feel like physically safe, for example, like you do your boxing, and that's, a new journey for you. And I'm sure at the beginning, or even your running career that you're now involved in, Tomas, where you felt this is hard, it hurts, it's uncomfortable. But then it's back up here, and then you continue to train and feed yourself as you should, and then you see that you're stretching yourself more and more and more.
Yeah.
So
you're getting better.
You're getting better.
Yeah.
And stronger.
The one thing about this is, you know, this to me, this chapter, what it made me think about is like if you just have a rubber band laying on the table.
Oh yes.
It has no use whatsoever. Just a rubber band just laying on a table has no use. The only way to get any use out of that rubber band is you literally have to stretch it.
Literally.
And that's for us. That's the idea is that in our lives we have to stretch beyond what we think we could do, and we have to stretch beyond where we think we're capable, because that's where the growth happens. It's in that stretching where you find the growth.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. It's not comfortable.
No,
but there's definitely benefits. There's definitely plenty of benefits with that.
Yeah. So this morning, I'll share this. I went for a run this morning, and I decided yesterday to go to Enzo's field trip at the trampoline park.
Oh, nice.
So for an hour, I was jumping on the trampoline playing dodgeball with my son and all the kids there. And this could have been a scene from the movie Dodgeball. Like, I was relentless. I mean, I was pegging kids. I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry. I did hit a kid in the face. I did apologize. Lord, forgive me, but I was having some fun. Okay, I was all in. Okay, I was all in. I mean, at the end of this, I'm dripping with sweat. So this morning, I get up to run, and guess what? I'm feeling it. I'm 42. So I'm literally running, and I'm feeling every joint, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get through this run today. Well, what happened is, usually after about a half a mile, my body will relax, and I'm fine. It took a mile and a half
to warm up
this morning to warm up from all of that activity. Wow. And so the thing that I'll share from this for those listening is that, listen, you got to stretch yourself. You got to stretch yourself even when it's hurting, even when you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Just keep going a little further. And that's where the growth is, because I was able to finish, and I was able to finish in a time where I normally finish, and got my miles down under 10 minutes. So I was like, okay, you got to push through the pain sometimes.
Push through the pain.
Right?
Yes, you do.
You got to push through that pain. So for somebody brand new that's listening to this, that's going, okay, I think I might want to go to this mastermind, this class. What would be the first thing you would tell them?
Don't make excuses.
Oh.
Just do it.
I like it.
Because you are investing into yourself.
Right.
And we invest into so many other things. So don't let your mind play tricks on you. Don't second guess. If you have an initial desire to do it, just go ahead and do it.
Just sign up.
Yes. Don't make excuses.
That's a good point. Well, listen, Veronica, I want to thank you for being on TM3 Impact. I also want to thank you for being, and your company for being, one of our sponsors. Yes, and so next week, for those listening, you need to get your tickets, alamoreferralmastery.com, alamoreferralmastery.com. This is going to be an amazing event next Thursday. We are bringing in a speaker that's going to help you take your referral business to the next level. So thank you for being a part of that and being our platinum sponsor.
It's an honor, Tomas.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, we appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
We will have this podcast and the video up next week, so be ready.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Tomas.